Hello, this is Coding Keywords and I'm Dr. Adejo. Welcome to this live session where we continue our Excel for Absolute Beginners course. It's a 10 module course and we have been able to cover the introduction to Excel, which was module 1, and the module 2 which are data entry. And so we're going to look at something new today. So this is Coding Keywords and here we do trainings on tech related areas like data analysis, Python programming, and for our data analysis, we have several videos on that. And this course is very helpful in understanding data analysis. Excel is a vital tool in data analysis. It's like the most basic tool. And when people struggle with Excel, they will find it difficult to understand data analysis. Hence, the motivation for this course. So I'd like you to um, just let me know in the comments if you're able to hear me well and if you can see my screen shared. So I've just shared my screen for module 3. So we just get to start. All right, so in module 2, um, we were able to see data entry. So we looked at data types. We looked at different data types in Excel. We saw the difference between text and numbers. We also looked at dates, and we saw how important they are. And we're also able to look at editing, clearing, and deleting our data. We saw basic operations, how to enter our data, do editing, how to clear, and also delete. We also looked at autofill, and we saw how we could create our data in cells using a sequence, using a pattern. And we also looked at our flash fill as well. So that was what we did in module 2. So heading over to module 3. And I also like to notify you that the files for all our modules are available. And if you check the link, you would see the files and so that you can practice on your own. And also the templates. So you see this nice looking template here in Excel where you get to go to the different modules and then get the different tips, and the lessons will also be available. So just check the link to get access to them. And then if you want a more specialized or a more detailed training on Excel or data analysis, we also have resources available as well, which will be in the link. Okay, so now we're going to look at understanding formatting versus data. Okay, so one of the keywords we saw when we were doing our introduction to Excel course in Module 1 was the fact that data was so critical to Excel. So Excel is about data. We saw that Microsoft Word was about creating documents, PowerPoint is about making presentations using slides, Excel is about all the things you do with data. So whether it's creating data, analyzing data, Excel is all about data. So here we're looking at formatting versus data. So data is the actual values stored in the cells. So I'm on column L here, and let me go to L5. Okay, so remember this is row 5, column L. So this is L5. And let me type hello there. So when I type hello there, that is the data in address L5. So this is hello, and then remember the number, the name bar here. So you can see this is L5. So remember, the content of L5 is hello. So we have the address, we have the content, and then we can do some formatting. So if I come over here and then I come over the home tab and then I come to change the background and I make it this, you can see that I've added some formats. Okay, so we're looking at data versus format. So data is the actual values stored in the cells. Okay, so we say stored because that is what is there. I can come over here and change it to good morning. All right, so let me also make this formatted to be, yes, a brighter color so you can see that. I can also increase it. So you see, previously I had hello as the data stored in L5. Now I have good morning as the data stored. So there's this concept of storage. What is there, so it can change. So looked at the address, looked at the data, And now we're also looking at the format. These three things are very important in understanding what is happening in our cells in Excel. So formatting has to do with how those values appear. So for example, now we have added some color to change how it appears. Okay, formatting changes the appearance, not the underlying value. So I can come over here, move over to this font command area, and then put it in italics. It changed how it appeared, but I still have good morning as my data. So we just have to understand this for us to get Excel very well. So there are different layers, different perspectives, different ways to look at it. Okay, so also looking at wrapping our text, looking at wrapping our text. So um, let me come over here. This is K2, and let me type good morning. So you begin to see that the content of K2 has kind of spilled over into the L column. And so we see that the width of column K is not enough to take the data with the current format or setting. So if I want to maintain the width, I can come over here and then I go over to the alignment section and I just click on wrap text and you can see. So it's wrapped it such that it has forced the contents to fit within the width. Okay, I still have a little issue there with the height, but that's just the concept of wrapping of our text. And then we also have merge and center as well. So if I want to extend the contents, current contents of K2 so that it stretches over to cover column L as well, I can highlight. So I start in K2, highlight over to L2, and then I click on merge and center. And then you can see that. So this is combined now. So on we have K2 spanning across K2 and L2. So I'm merging across two columns here. So these are different ways we can format. And so we're just going to go straight to our first example. So as we have seen in the last module, we have different sheets in our Excel file, and then we have the exercise sheet as well. So let me just go back and just to be sure that everything is okay in the stream. All right, so I'm going to do Control Z until I can get all the cells. Okay, I have all my cells back. And then I'm going to go to exercises. I'm going to start working with data set 3A. So I'm copying it and then back to the lesson sheet and I'm going to paste. So remember when we're pasting, we have to be careful just to be sure that we're able to have it the way we want. So I'm resizing the column. So I just did Control C and Control V. All right, so we've got our data set here and then we have some exercises. Okay, so first of all, we want to do the header formatting. And our first task is to make the header row bold. It's already bold. Okay, so this is the header row. This is where we have the headings for our data set. So this is the title here. So so let me select all the headings and you see it's already bold. So you can use this B command here to toggle between making the headings bold. So it's already bold. We've done that. Another option or alternative to doing that is to select it and do Control B. So you see that's Control B, making it bold. Next up, we want to increase the header font size. These are pretty straightforward. So I select all the headers and then I can come over here and you see this is the increase font size command. This is decrease font size, and then I can specifically write the value of the font I want. So if I want it 14, I'm going to remove the current value of 12 and I've made it 14 and you can see it's bigger in size here. Next up is to center align the header text. So if we look at M2 here, we can see that the header here, the region is left aligned. So we want to center align the header text. So I select all the header text and come over here in alignment and then I click on this center command to center align so we can see the difference here. So essentially what we're doing is we're looking at the commands in Excel for formatting basic formatting of our text, and most of them are in this home tab. So under the home tab, we have the fonts, we also have the alignment, and that's what we're looking at. So next up, we're going to apply a light fill color to the header row. A fill color. So when we're talking about filled color, so when we're talking about fill color, we're talking about the background, what fills the cell. So this is the header row. I'm going to take it and then I'm going to apply. So the fill would be this command here. So I click on that and I'm just going to go with something light. And there you go. I've done that. So all of this is just changing how it looks. Okay, so a few best practices when it comes to working with fonts, font and text, avoid excessive fonts. So don't use too many fonts. So currently, this is selected. You see, this is Aptos, and that's the header, Aptos, and then the data itself is still Aptos. So we've got several options. If you click on this drop down, you can see so many, so many, so many. So you have to choose. You see, this is agency FB. Okay, so but then do not use excessive fonts. So we're just going to stay with Aptos. Okay, just stay with Aptos. So that's the first thing. Avoid excessive fonts so you don't have too many fonts in your data sets, too many font types. Use bold for headings, just like we did, not data. So you want your data to normal format, whereas you want your headings to be bold. And then avoid merging cells inside data tables. Yes. So that really, really mixes up things. You want to merge the cells probably for like the title. So I can do that here. You see, this data is from column L to column O. So I can go over to the title, select from L1 to O1, and then I can merge. So this merges it, centralizes it. I can put my underline there, but merging should not be done inside our data. Okay, so going to check the stream again just to be sure, and then also check the comments. Check if there are any comments. Okay, so far so good. All right, so next up, yes, so we're moving over to the next lesson, and yeah, so now we're going to look at alignment and spacing. So horizontal alignment has to do with the alignment of the text from left to right. That's the horizontal alignment. And the vertical alignment has to do with the alignment, the position of the text from top to bottom. So we have three: top, middle, bottom, just like we have left, center, right for the horizontal alignments. And then we also have indentation, and this has to do with how close the text within the cell is to the left border. So for example, the our data here, okay, so here we have this left align, and this is in M3. It is very close to the border. If I want to put some indentation, add a bit of space to that border, not the alignment now, I would come over here, and then you see this increase indent. This is increase the indent. You see, I can increase the indent, and that's different from if I did an alignment. So this aligns to the center, this aligns to the right, and this helps me to put some indents. So that's not so commonly used, except if you have some data that you want to do that specifically. And then we have text rotation. And then with text rotation, you can rotate and rotate your text so that your text is not just horizontal. You can make it vertical. You can change the angle. So let me just come over here. This is M13. Remember, you can always use this to know where you are. And then I'm going to type text. I'm just typing something text. Then want to demonstrate the rotation. So you see over here, orientation command. I can come over here and you see that. So I've changed the angle of placement in the cell. Next up, we have a task here to left align the month and region. So we have the month and region. Okay, so this is month and region. I'm just going to select the heading all the way across the data. We can see um, the headings are center aligned, but the data itself is left aligned. So I'm just going to come over here and align left, and you see that has been done. And next up is right align the numeric columns. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and select the numeric columns, units sold, and um, that should be revenue. So we can see that these are numeric columns, and so I do right alignment there, and that has also um, been applied to the headings. And then apply wrap text to long category names. Okay, so here I have the revenue. Remember, if you look at the formula bar, you can see the content and it's long. So I'm going to wrap. Okay, it's already wrapped. So sometimes you have to toggle. And then sometimes you still would have an issue. So I'm just going to come over here and right click. So I want to be able to, I want to make cell O to be able to take the data, all the data within it, and still maintain the font size. So I'm just going to come over to the right and right click, and then you can see. So let me try still moving it a bit. So sometimes you just have to play around it after you have done your wrapping. So to adjust the row height for readability. So you can adjust the row height by coming over. Now this is row 2, and this is the height. We can see the height is quite bigger than the others. So just in case we had the height this small and the column headings were not readable, we can just come over just between 2 and 3 and then drag it down till it is it's okay for the content. So that's adjusting the row height, and then our text should be left aligned. That's what we have here. Should be right aligned, and the headers centered or left. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to come select all the headers and center it. So I purposely just had to left align the headers just to show you the differences between the alignments, whether it's left, center, or right. So remember, these are the rules. So numbers should be right aligned, text should be left aligned, and the headers centered or left aligned. So those are our rules. So next up, we're going to look at cell borders. Cell borders. So, and this has to do with how borders, shading, and then visual structure as well. So we have line styles and thickness. So I'm just going to select the entire data set here, the headers and the data, and then here we have the borders. Here we have the borders. So all under this font section, you can just click on the drop down and we can put all borders. So you see, we've put all borders, and you see that gives um, a different look to our data set. So let me do Control Z. This is how it was looking. And then we put our borders. It looks a whole lot different. And then we can also use different thickness for our borders. So I'm going to come over and then let's explore this. Here I can have thick outside borders. You can see that if you look at it very well, you see the outside borders are thicker. The outside borders are thicker. So we can format our borders accordingly. So one other thing that's very useful when it comes to tech is to have that mind of doing research. So you want to also explore the different commands, click on the drop down, and then try out different things. You can change the line color, you can change the line style. Let me adjust it a bit and see. Okay, when you change which you can go and apply, so you can see change the line style, and then you can change the colors like we saw. All kinds of things you can do. You can put a bottom border, so that's a bottom border there. So I'm just going to do Control Z, and then I'm back. All right, so you have the fill color which we have looked at. So I can also create or apply another fill color to the data here. So I can come over and I can make it this. So you see that's the fill color. Then we also have the alternating row shadowing. Okay, so that's going to go as an exercise for you to try out. And then we have grid lines and borders. Okay, so we have grid lines, we have borders, which we've looked at. So for the grid lines, these are the grid lines in Excel. So when you open Excel, you see these lines. They are the grid lines. You can remove them. You can remove them. So we'll be going off the home tab, and then we'll go over to view, and you see grid lines there. When you click on grid lines, you remove, and it doesn't look like the traditional Excel lines again. And then I just put it back. So just because of time, I'm just running through. So apply borders to the entire data range, which we have done. Use sticker borders for the table outline, which we have done. And then remove grid lines and rely on borders instead. Okay, we've done that. I just showed you. And then, yes, so the borders define the structure. Shading guides the eye. So shading guides the eye. All right, so these are some of the basic formatting we can do in Excel, specifically the borders. So now we're looking at number formatting. Number formatting. And so I'm just going to go back and let me just make this the default color. Okay, so we're doing number formatting. All right, so we're going to work on the number columns here, and then like we saw in our earlier module, once you select your data, you can look over here and see the current format. And this is general. Now this should be number. This should be number. Remember, we looked at the different data types and how to change them. All right, so we also have the currency and accounting format. So let's look over here. You can see we have the currency and we have the accounting formats. And that is like an extension to how we format our numbers to add some extra features and characters. Then we have percentage as well. So we have percentage under the number. And then we also have this percentage here. So sometimes we want to represent our numbers in form of percentage. And then we also have date and time formats as well. We also have decimal places. Remember that once we select our data and then we come over here, click on general and click on number, you see we have formatted it by adding 2 decimals. And then if we want to do more specific formatting, I can right click. Remember, I've selected my data, right click and click on format cells. And here I can change the decimal number of decimal places. I can also add the comma separator as well. And those are different formats you can do. We also have negative number display. You can change how negative numbers are displayed, still using our format cells dialog box. So now we have to format the revenue as currency with 2 decimal places. So you can select this, right click, click on format cells, and then I just move this here. I want to format as a currency with 2 decimal places, and I'm just going with the pounds. And there you go. It looks different. It's no more general. It's now currency. And then format units sold with comma separators. So I can just, and I'm going to right click, format cells. I'm going to set it as a number. I'm going to remove the decimals and just put the use 1000 separate. See, that has been done. And next up, format amount in dataset 3B as accounting. So I'm going over to exercises and I'm going to copy this dataset 3B. So I'm going to copy it and to the lesson, and I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, so we're supposed to format the amount. Okay, so this is the amount. So format it as accounting. So I'm going to select this and right click, format cells, and I select accounting, and there you go. So we see the differences in terms of how the accounting looks from the currency. Okay, so I just double clicked just so that the dates show well. And then format date column to show month and year only. So I'm going to select the dates and then right click and then format cells. And I go to dates, yes. And then we want the month and year only. Month and year only. So I'm going to look for the option that has just month and year only. Month and year. Okay, so this has, okay, dates, month, year, date, month, year, date, month, year, date. Okay, so um, all right. So now we're going to do something. Going to do something interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and see how we can use ChatGPT um, to handle that. Okay, so now I'm going over to ChatGPT. All right, so I'm just going to stay logged out and let's ask how to format the dates in Excel just to show month and year. So right now we always have to take advantage of AI. Okay, so it says select the cells with the dates, press Control 1, okay, to open format cells, and then we're going to use number custom. Okay, so we're using number custom. Okay, so that's option 1. Option 2 is to use the formula. So this is just an added bonus for us to see how to use AI for different things we do, especially whenever we are stuck, thankfully. All right, so we're going to select that and then we're going to use custom. All right, format cells. And then here we have custom. Okay, there you go. It's there. So month and year. And then, so you see. Okay, okay, all right. So we go over to, yes, our tip. So why formatting is preferable to typing symbols manually. So why is formatting preferable to typing symbols manually? So you would want to do your formatting, and because what your formatting does is that it changes from say general to currency or accounting. That's better than typing symbols. Now, when you type the symbols, what happens is that you're going to be changing it from a number to another format. So say for example, you have this 2345. These are numbers, and you can see Excel has right aligned them. So they are right aligned because they are numbers. Now let's come over here and type hello. We'll see Excel left aligned. So if I come over to this 23 and I add the currency, say I add the dollar, can you see Excel is now considering it as a text, not a number, as a text and not a number. So it's good to just do the formatting so that Excel will still maintain it as a number, which it should be. So one of the things you want to do in Excel every time is to ensure that you are maintaining your data the way you want it to be and the way you want Excel to recognize it is very important. So if you're dealing with numbers, you want Excel to recognize your data as a number. Very important. So next up, we're looking at auto fit. Auto fit. So auto fit is the way we can fit our columns, our column widths and our row heights to be able to contain our data properly. So let me do some auto fitting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this. So you can see how I just moved that quickly. So we got to master some of these shortcuts. And then let me just have a scenario where a couple of my columns are um, either too big or too small. So remember the reference here is this data set. And then I'm going to do auto fitting. So I'm going to select the data set, or let me just highlight the columns like this. And then to do auto fitting, I'm going to take one of the commands, and that is, yes. So we go over to the home tab, which is where we've been, and then we come over to this format here, and then we auto fit. So we have the auto fit row height, auto fit column width. So let me do the column width first. So I've done the auto fit of the column widths. Still not perfect, so to say, because this one still has an issue. And then come over here and then auto fit row height, and then we see the adjustments there. All right, so I'm just going to extend this a bit. Okay, so make it quite bigger, and then let me do the auto fit again, and it might just auto fit column width. Okay, just makes it compact. And then I might want to do the auto fit of the row height again. So we see. All right, so we just play around with it. So that's how to fit our column widths and heights. And then we have manual resizing, which is what I did as well. And then hiding on hiding rows and columns. So if I want to hide column M, I will select M, right click and hide. So you can see it now reading column L and then column N. M is hidden. And if I want to hide the row, this row here, this is row 5, okay, which has um, match in L5 to where I have the hidden cell, just exactly where it is, right click and on hide. Okay, so I have to just be exactly there, right click and back. And then I can do the same here, or I can expand it. So I can just manually unhide it. And then as well, we have those commands available here, hide and unhide. So like we saw, we have several ways to do the same activity in Excel. Then we have freeze panes. Okay, so the concept of freezing the pane is to freeze a row or to freeze a column, to freeze a row or to freeze a column whilst movement or scrolling is done. So if I want to freeze the top row, if I want to freeze the top row, so I would go, sorry, not page layout, view, yes, and then we got our freeze panes here, the freeze panes command. So the view tab and freeze panes, and here I can freeze the top row. So if I do that, you see that as I scroll, I still have the top row fixed in place. Okay, so that's one. And then you can freeze a particular column. So let me freeze row 2, which has a header here, and then I can say freeze panes. Okay, so freezing, selecting row 2 freezes row 1. So I'm going to unfreeze and then select row 3, which is where I want to freeze. I want to freeze row 2. So I select row 3 so that row 2 is fixed. And then you see, so if you've got large data sets and you want to maintain the header, you can use your freeze panes. So I'm just going to unfreeze. And then next up is auto fit all columns, which is what we saw. We saw auto fitting, and then we also did manual widening. Okay, so this is the exercise, and then we can hide one column files and practice. Okay, so over to lesson 3.7, and this has, we have the landscape, and we see that going over to, still on our view tab, we go to page layout and we click on page layout. Okay, all right, so with page layout, we can change from our normal brand layout. So when it comes to horizontal portrait versus landscape, we can very well when we want to print. So if I go to file and then I go to print, I can set it here. So we've got the portrait orientation. So you can see currently it's data. So I can change it to landscape as well. And you see, I have the landscape orientation for printing or setting the layout. And then we also have other things to play around with. So we have our scaling. We can use this to fit all the columns on one page, fit the sheet on one page, fit all rows on one page, or we do custom scaling where we can change the percentage. So playing around with these can help you control how your data set is set for printing. And then we have our margins as well. So we can see our margins. So I usually would just check them still in that file print, and then you see the margins. You can set the margins, and the margin has to do the space with the space between your content of your data set and what you would print, or what is on your page or on your sheets in printable form with the borders. So currently, if I click on this and custom margins, you can see that I can adjust the left, the right, the bottom, and all of that. So currently I have one of two. I have two pages. I can click on this to see this is page 2. And let's just say I want everything on one sheet. So what I would do would be to come over to scaling, and I say I want all the columns. So I want all the columns on one page, and I do that. It's going to adjust it. So you see, So um, if I want all the rows on one page, which was already done, see, I have that like that. And then if I want the whole sheet on one page, you can always adjust the margins, the size of the documents, and also the orientation as well. So these are some of the things that have to do with page layout and printing basics. So we've looked at scaling, we've looked at, okay, so the print area has to do with what we are setting to be printed. So if I want only this part of this sheet to be printed, I can select just a bit around it like this. So I select this and then I come over to page layouts. So I've set the print area. So whenever I go to print, file, and print or control P, you can see it's different. Whereas I had the entire data before, now I just have this, and then I can do um, all kinds of settings. I can do some custom scaling, just to say maybe I want it to be like 3 times the size. Can do that. Okay, 3 times the size makes it too big. Then I can go over and let's say feed sheet on one page. Okay, becomes much smaller. I can change it from landscape to portraits, you see, and then I can use the margins to shift it kind of. So if I want a bit more margin up, I can make this 4. Let me see. And you see that shifted it down. There are all kinds of things. There's several ways to control how your document looks and how you're setting it up for printing. So that's print. So you see that we deal with commands in the home tab, the page layout tab, the view tab as well for basic formatting and printing. Headers and footers. Okay, so we also have headers and footers which we can add to what we are printing. So you would go to the um, headers and footers. That should be um, okay. So let's go over once again to ChatGPT, the AI tool, and then ask there, okay, I can't find headers and footers in Excel. Should I check? Okay, so Excel has several commands. Once in a while, we, okay, go to insert tab, look for text group, click header and footer. Okay, so once in a while, when we are stuck, we should take advantage of AI. All right, insert and then text. Okay, yeah, that's text here. Wow, it's hidden here, and then we have our headers and footers. Okay, and so you can add your header and the footer as well. Okay, so we have the header over there, um, so we can say Excel class. That's the header that's going to be applied across a different sheets. And then let me just go over and print to see. So here we see. So we have the header there. So that's how to add our headers. Okay, so I'm just going to remove it so it's hidden over here. And okay, so we have the header, we have the footer here, and then let me say none, just to have none. All right, and then let me go back to view and then back to normal view. So with time, you get to understand where the different commands are to change the view. We also have shortcuts here. So we can change, this is page layout view, this is page break view, and then this is our normal view. Okay, so next up is set the page to landscape. We've done that. We've done that. Fit the table to one page. We've also done that. Add a header with monthly sales. So when you go to file, yes. So what we mean by preview before printing, this is the print preview before you go ahead to click on print. And then you can do your settings. Always very important. You don't just print. You have to preview because it's Excel. Remember in Microsoft Word, you have the pages more easily than in Microsoft Excel, where you have to preview. So we've done the print preview, and these are exercises for you to try, um, and all of that. So here we go. We've done basic lessons on formatting in Excel, formatting of our text, formatting our number, formatting our. Finally, we're just going to look at some common formatting mistakes to avoid. Number one, avoid overuse of colors. Avoid overuse of colors. So let me um, see what will happen if I use too many colors here. Let's say I use this here and use another color here, and then I use um, another one here, and then I use another color. Using too many colors, and then I go do some fill with these two. I'm going to fill it with this one. I'm going to fill it with that. You see, it's not looking too nice on the eye. So when we use too many colors, it doesn't look nice on the eye. So just use a few colors. A few colors. You can use like two, three colors at most, and then you use colors that contrast and can blend together. Colors, merge cells, breaking data structure. Okay, so yeah, very important. So when you merge the example here, we have a table here that has one, two, three, four, five, six rows and four columns. If we merge the cells at any point, apart from the fact that we our data. So for example, if I merge this row 4 here, starting from L4 with this February, if I do merge and center, you can see the south, which is the region information, you see. So this has also distorted the table structure. So be very careful about merging. Be very careful. So I do a Control Z to have that back. Currency symbols typed manually. We saw that if you type a currency symbol manually, you're changing it. Okay, this was still maintained as a number. Okay, but if we had a column, say we have this column, and then we have 1, 2, 3, Excel is trying to see it as a number, and then we add the currency symbol here, it starts seeing it as a text. So that's an issue. Because when you have it as a text, you won't be able to do like some formula operations on it again. You see, it's giving an error because it's not a number. Then if I come over here, remove that, and it's seen back as a number, you see I can do that simple formula operation. And that's also to let you know that in our next module, we're going to be doing basic formulas. And then inconsistent decimal places. So if you're having two decimals, have it as two decimals consistently across the column and even across the data set as well. And then, yes, so next module, we're going to look at basic calculations and formulas in Excel. And that's going to be our module 4. So that brings us to the end of this module, module 3, which is basic formatting in Excel. So I'm just going to go back and just to wrap up. All right, so that's the end of module 3, and we're going to have this recording available. It's going to be available for you to watch again. And remember, we said we're going through the basics of Excel, and we're doing that so that you can easily understand our data analysis videos and training and materials on coding keywords. And so first of all, we looked at introduction to Excel, the Excel interface, we looked at the basics, and then next up we moved to data entry. So remember, we have to get our data entered before we can start doing all the other data manipulation and analysis and visualization. And then next, which was today, we looked at basic formatting, and we saw that when you've got your cell in Excel, say for example, you've got your cell A1 or you've got your cell M11. So if we look, we would see that M11 currently has 1, 2, 3. Now that's the data. Okay, so the address is M11. Let me just go back. So the address is M11. Okay, that's the address. M11. Can check it here, the name bar. And then the data is 1, 2, 3. And that data has a format. That data has a format. So it has a fill color, it has font name, it has a font size, it has border property, it has other properties, um, colors and all of that, and then it has the alignment property, all kinds of formatting, which do not necessarily affect the data. So it's important to consider the format as it's also important to consider the data. So that's what we looked at um, today. So we looked at the fonts, we looked at the borders, we looked at text, we looked at numbers, we looked at also formatting for printing. How do we set up our pages? All right, so I would like you to like the video. I'm sure you learned something new. I also like you to subscribe to the channel, and I'd like you to click on the links because we've got lots and lots of resources. So we have our free templates. This Excel template is going to be free. And then we also have other resources so you can engage with us and get more resources. So once again, my name is Dr. Adejo, and this is Coding Keywords. And this is the channel where we guide you into the world of tech. So whether you're thinking of data analysis, programming, or you're thinking of design, or you're thinking of some things related to entrepreneurship, we have resources here for you. Okay, so this has been one of our trainings, and this has to do with more of like the analysis side of tech, which is Microsoft Excel. And we know that Microsoft Excel is widely used, widely applied for data handling and manipulation. So we are introducing Microsoft Excel in this course. And so far we've reached module 3. And if you go through it and if you practice, you should be able to get better in the use of Excel. Also check, we have videos on Python. We also have some videos on how you can learn Python by learning the concepts combined with how children learn coding. So you do some scratch programming, it can help you understand some of the Python concepts better because of the visual representation. So check out our videos. We also have some videos where we deal with everyday tech, everyday data analysis. So it's a whole suite. I want you to get engaged in the channel. I also want you to visit the links, check out the links, and then we have more resources for you. So once again, don't forget to like the video, share it as well so that other people get to um, watch the video, and stay connected. Stay connected because we're going to have more videos as we cover the different aspects. So in our next live session, we're going to be looking at basic calculations and formulas in Excel. I'm Dr. Adejo. Thank you very much, and bye.